All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Because, yeah, as I'm sure you've all heard, we had a bit of a budget. But good evening, all. Please do remember, because I have completely forgotten. In fact, let me do this now. Let me do some sharing stuff. Hold on. I really should have done this while I was getting ready, but I didn't. Hold on. There we go. There we go. That's done to there. Put this on threads. There we are. Live stream. There we go. And put this on Blue Sky. There we are. And yes, I have a Blue Sky account. I know. For those of you interested at the moment, does seem to be a change at the moment. Who's going to win between Blue Sky and Threads? Both have different platforms, advantages. We don't know who's going to win what yet, but we'll see. There we go. Ah, we're back. Oh no, am I? Oh no, there we go. There we go. We're back. So, yes, welcome, one and all. Welcome to the Wednesday night live stream. It's been a while since we've done one. Purely because I just haven't done one. If I'm honest. If I am honest. But look, we got. Hang on. Can we? Oh no, I can't show it to you. But we got a new background. Check it out. Ta-da! So we've got that now as the stream background. Whatever, we've got not just a nice thing of leaves, on brand, shall we say? So that's quite nice to have. But for those of you joining us this evening, Dave W, good evening to you. Colin, good evening to you from New York. Band of Harjappers, I think that's how you say it. Good evening to you. And Craig as well, good evening to you. So yeah, welcome. Budget. I think not too bad. Not too bad. And as I said, I don't agree with everything that's happened. Don't agree with everything that's happened, but we'll see. We'll see what the effects are. The OBR, I think, has come out. Actually, what is the? Hang on, let's go over the OBR statement first. OBR statement on. Well, Office for Budget Responsibility, 30th of October. Here we are. This is what they said. So, Office of Budget Responsibility, this has pretty much been their statement. The budget increases spending by at least £70 billion annually, with now 2/3 of the current and 1/3 now on capital spending. Half is now funded through tax increases, which will raise over £36 billion annually and will push the tax take to a record 38% now of GDP. The rest is now funded by 32%, 32 billion pounds worth of more borrowing annually, which will temporarily boost GDP growth to about 2% in 2026. But this now leaves output unchanged now in the medium term. New fiscal rules to balance the current budget and to get net financing liabilities falling relative to GDP in at least 5 years are met by small margins of 10 and 16 billion pounds respectively. Overall, that's fancy talk. That's fancy talk for the OBR saying, yeah, we're pretty pleased. You know, if you were following some of the like conservatives tweeting about it this morning or talking about this, they were treating as if the markets were going to react like Liz trusted, like, you know, literally as Kersey Katang was like reading out the budget, and you know the markets were just going. So yeah, that hasn't happened, and of course, obviously, the Conservatives are going to be upset. They're always going to be upset about some of this. But you look at most economists of what they've been saying. Most of them are coming back saying, "Yeah, it's good. It's not bad. It's competent. It's safely competent." Which, quite frankly, is really the current Keir Starmer attitude, pretty much to everything. We are getting the continuation of the Ming Vase strategy once again. You know, taking hold of the Ming vase and gently sort of moving it across the room, not too quickly, but you know, safely and assuredly. If what we can expect from Starmerism is to be competent, boring, like competent and boring, what a change it's going to make. You know, what a nice, pleasant change. You know, competent and boring is going to be. You know, how nice, how nice, competent and boring will be indeed to that. But we also have this as well. Yeah, Craig, yeah, explains why they took the time to do it properly. A solid, now sensible budget buys them now trust from a lot of groups. Yeah. It does explain why they took so long, but that is a fair point to raise actually. This was actually the longest a new government has ever done to do a budget, and that was because if you believe what Rachel Reeves said, and the OBR have said it as well, the Conservatives were not honest about the full scale of the financial situation that they were in. And this has even led the OBR to say, oh, well, actually, we're now being given even more, you know, information than we'd previously been given. So now we're going to have to sort of recalculate things on this end. But we now agree with what Rachel Reeves has been saying, which, of course, has now led from certain conservative corners to now call for the ending of the OBR, that the OBR is woke, that it's biased, and you know, it's just part of the blob that's trying to, you know, destroy, you know, conservative government, and that's why all the conservative policies failed. So again, we shouldn't really be shocked. It's not going to stop the culture wars. No, it won't stop the culture wars. It'll never stop the culture wars. But the culture wars will burn themselves out. They always do. Back to Craig. So it takes about 10 weeks for the OBR to do a proper forecast. That's 70 days, more or less, which allows 30 days for them to find their feet after the election. Yep. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But so far, safe, competent, and boring. I don't know what how else to like describe the budget. I really don't know how else to describe it. Um, I, and it's that you know what safe, competent, and boring is not a bad thing. Really, not necessarily a bad thing. And yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, OBR introduced under Cameron. Yeah, that's why the time was what it was basically. Yeah, safe, competent, and boring. And I think I don't know how the markets have reacted. I don't know if there has been any significant that you'd think people would have reported if they had been bad. But we do have this from the Guardian. This is like sort of what these mean to people of this. So you've got single person of working age. So this year, someone earning the UK's medium wage of about £37,000 will pay over £4,000 or £4,000 now in income tax, and at least £1,994 in national insurance contributions. Uh, this now results in a monthly take-home pay of at least £2,543 after tax, or over £330,000 a year. So not too much of a change for your single person of working age if you are earning the medium age. Traditionally, tax brackets will now keep pace with inflation, but they have now been frozen in terms of cash terms since April 2021, meaning as wages rise, particularly in times of high inflation, people pay taxes now on a bigger proportion of their income. However, Reeves has promised tax bands would be unfrozen from 28 to 2029. 2% pay rise now due in April. This now ups our workers' salary by at least £750. As a result, their income tax bill will go up by £150, and the national insurance contribution by 60. This will be now that the take-home pay will be £31,000 per year. So overall, not really anything drastic. I don't think a lot of people in that bracket are really going to notice too much of these. Oh, thank you very much, Craig. Gilt yields fell very little, I think. It was the opposite direction to trusts. Gilt yields rose by 0.33%, which is pretty much nothing given the borrowing increase. Yeah. So there has been no severe market reaction, as the Conservatives were predicting this morning, or begging, or at least hoping that that Labour would now have their own Liz Truss, but no, that didn't happen. And we knew that was going to happen. That was very, very much some wishful thinking from some Conservative corners this morning. Pensioners. Once his new state pension is now be combined with payments now for a private one, he will now have a gross income of at least £19,000. From this, he pays at least over £1,286 of income tax. He no longer qualifies for winter fuel payments, though, which saved at least £200 from his budget this winter. He will have to continue to miss each year. His benefits from now the triple lock so his full state's pension will rise by 4.1%. To at least £230 a week from April 2025, adding in the £470 now to his annual income before tax. His tax bill on that is at least £94, leaving him without an extra £373 in the 25 to 26 tax year. So pensioners are going to notice that. Looks like pensioners might notice that. And bear in mind, that doesn't seem when you take that into account, that losing the winter fuel allowance there doesn't seem that too drastic. If by next year they're going to be going up by an average of like £376 and they're losing 200 from the winter fuel allowance, overall not the worst thing in the world to happen. Why were pensioners so angry about losing it? um Lower income pensioner couple. As they are now in the late 70s, this couple will receive a basic state pension. Their combined income now is less than £332 a week, or that is 17,313 a year. Standard minimum guarantee, so they will receive a pension credit to top up, and also qualify for £200 with a fuel credit. Next year, the triple lock sees the maximum pension guarantee up by 4.1%, or at least £13.65 a week. This all works out to an extra £700 an extra for couples, and £465 for singles. So lower income pensioners actually gain a lot more to the more average pensioner who is a lot more better off. Higher earners. She's the private executive and is due to now receive a £1 million payment for a share of deal-making profits known as carried interests. At the moment, she will pay capital gains tax on carried interest of at least 28%, which is over £28,000. However, the rate on earnings will now rise again to 32%, in April 2025. They will have 2 children now in private school. This will cost over £26,000 a year from the 1st of April. VAT of at least 20% will apply to those full school fees. So the school adds on it to a full time to the full bill. The bill for this will rise by more than at least £10,000. So they're going to sort of certainly affect it. This family has been now doing some serious planning to reduce their inheritance tax bill that the younger generation could face. They own a house worth £800,000 as well as shares. The current rules means that the married couple can combine allowances to pass up to £1 million tax-free, including their home to their offspring. However, from 2027, their children can no longer inherit their £170,000 undrawn pension pot tax-free. They will have to pay inheritance tax on that. There were also over £100,000 of shares now in small companies listed on the AM Junior market. So from April 2026, Reeves has now cut loose relief to 50%. So they could be looking at a bill of at least over £20,000. This is the big one. A lot of people have been talking about national insurance rises. A lot have been talking about the national insurance rise. In fact, Craig, where did you? I saw your comment earlier. This is it. This is what you said. I agree with you on this, actually. National insurance contribution isn't a huge issue. It has a shield now for small businesses packed into it, reverses the Tory and IC cuts, and puts everything back on the employers. It's only inflationary if they profit gouge. Yeah. Minimum wage stuff could be great. Puts cash in the hands of people most likely to spend it, and gives now given the number of vacancies, we want people moving to jobs with living wages. Again, I agree with you on those, Craig. I think those are very valid points about that. I think those are very valid points on a lot of those things where you look at national insurance contributions. There has been, of course, some things from some employers saying, "Oh well, that means we're not hiring anyone." But companies always hire people when they need people. Just depends really on the overall state of like the company, the economy, what investment they have. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But ultimately, I think it's not really going to affect businesses. But you are right; it does put them all back on the employer, which is definitely something that needed to happen. So that is something. But will it cause maybe less jobs to be advertised? Maybe, but I don't think much. I don't think by much. I do not think that the vacancies are going to go down. I think we're going to see probably vacancies remain exactly the same at the moment because there's a large gap for vacancies at the moment when it comes to people looking for work. Duke Vengeance, overall good budget, unfortunately. The certain left are now already throwing a hissy fit. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Yep. Doesn't surprise me. Yeah. I already took the opportunity to ignore what Owen Jones thinks today. Oh, I guarantee you they are already freaking out about it. I guarantee you they already are. Yeah. Yep, the right wing media are not happy. Never mind, I won't let you sleep over that. Yeah, like I say, if you want, like I say, my quick TDLR of the budget: boring, safe, competent. Like, what do you need? What do you more need than that? I think it's good to have nice, competent government again. You know, shock horror, a competent government. Blue Badger 88. Good evening to you. But yeah, I can say so far, um, meh. Really, I mean, competent, competent, boring. Can we, you know, can we maybe expect more of this from Starmer? Is this how maybe we're going to get more policy rolled out? It's going to be competent, but it's going to be boring. So maybe it does stuff, but maybe it's not all, fancy bells and whistles, which maybe we're going to have to live with. Maybe we're going to have to live with. Ah. So the vibe from the Owen Jones crowd is it didn't instantly fix everything, so it's a total failure. Yeah. I had a look at actually, don't think I'm going to show you this guy, Richard Murphy. I do like him. I like him a lot on a lot of stuff. I think he's really good on a lot of stuff. Um, but yeah, this was his sort of budget response. He basically just doesn't like it. Like he just doesn't like it at all. So, but what's kind of funny is someone actually posted someone here. Yeah. So someone actually said to him today, the Treasury distribution analysis suggests that the budget tax and now spend measures are now highly progressive. Most impact is now falling on the top decibel by income. Which then you have, of course, impact on households, their own governments there. But then, of course, it doesn't seem to include the impact of the employer national insurance increase or the minimum wage, etc. To which Richard Murphy says, I disagree with this analysis. Second order effects are clearly being ignored. Um, Again, I do like Richard Murphy. I do like him. I don't necessarily agree with everything he says, but when it does come to tax and stuff like that, and a lot of the progressive stuff, he's very, very good. He wrote a very, very good blog um, about the wealth tax. Like, actually, the wealth tax is not a very good tax. Um, there's better ways, more efficient ways to tax rich people. And I'll tell you this now: a lot of other lefties hate that because they're just obsessed with the idea of wealth tax, wealth tax, wealth tax. And then you go, well, actually, again, go read his blog. Very, very interesting. Yeah, Blue Badger 88. I used to listen to Owen, but after a very short while, I started thinking, okay, you see a problem, but what would you do? Just call him Owen Moans. Yeah, yeah. Like Murphy says, MMT coverage, but he's completely anti-Keir Starmer. Period. Yeah, yeah. Exactly. He's completely just anti-Keir Starmer. Um, he wasn't going to be very happy with this budget at all. Um, so yeah, doesn't surprise me. Does not surprise me at all. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but obviously there'll be probably more people coming out the next couple of days. Like, what's this say? I don't know if the Chamber of Commerce has had a response to the budget. Have they had a response? Let me just check. Oh, budget. Yeah, I think this is it. Yeah. Oh no, that was in March of this year. Have they got a more? Ah, here we are. Here we are. So this is what the Chamber of Commerce has said. So reacting to the Chancellor's autumn budget, Director General of the BBC, that's the British Chamber of Commerce, not the British Broadcasting Company, said, this is now a tougher budget for businesses to swallow, but the Chancellor has looked to now ease the pain by holding out of a promise for better days ahead. While protection for some smaller firms is welcome, again, that's something I think a lot of people are not going to talk about. That even though the national insurance contribution has been brought in, Reeves did bring in some protections for small businesses and small companies. So it's not all companies that are going to have to bear the brunt of this national insurance rise, but there are some protections in there for smaller companies, which again is good. Like I said before, most small businesses are probably the predominant employer. Like SMEs, a predominant employer in certainly most towns in and around the place. But we'll see. But in cities, it can change a bit more because obviously bigger population. But let's see what they have to say. So the increase to the national employer insurance contribution will, of course, place further cost burden on businesses. This, coupled now with a 7.6% increase in the national living wage, means that many firms will find it more challenging to invest and recruit now in the short term. And that is true. Probably short term, you will see investment plans change. Investment plans will change. Like businesses will go, well, maybe we'll cut back on a budget here or we won't invest so much here. But that's only short term. I agree with them on that. And that is honest. This is why I like the British Chamber of Commerce, because they are very, very honest about their responses. They haven't got, a bipartisan, well, at least at the moment, they haven't really got a bipartisan dog in the game. But who knows, that could change in the future. But most of them are, they're pretty honest when they come to it. So yeah, that is true. I think in the small term, maybe you will see businesses pull back, but that's only in the small term of what will happen here. And I do agree with them on that as well. Small term, short term, businesses will deal. They'll adapt to not only the increase in national insurance, but also national living wage as well. But she continued, but the Chancellor has obviously now looked to offset the upfront hit to firms by outlining now a longer term framework to provide stability for the economy. Something we've been very, very much missing. That's for sure. Long term thinking, I know. Shock horror. Plans to obviously raise infrastructure spending, sector-specific business rates, and of course, relief and additional support for small businesses will take off the sting out of some of these tax rises. It's encouraging to see now the full expressing now of the annual investment allows made permanent alongside the R&D relief now being retained. That's actually something quite good. Research and development relief is interesting. Certainly from point of view, maybe we should do something about that at the moment, because the R&D relief is got something interesting to sort of talk about. That's something else that was mentioned. Sector specific business rates are being looked at on what's going to be in there. There's apparently more support for small businesses incoming later, apparently. So we'll see what happens there. Infrastructure spending, we're obviously not getting full phase 2 HS2, but we are getting full phase 1 HS2, which is good, because now that means phase 1 of HS2 is being fully properly built. It's not going to be a reduced HS1. It's a properly built HS1 from London to Birmingham. Now, while that will not solve the travel problems up in the north, Reeves did announce some investment for some northern lines. We'll see what impact that's really going to have for some north-south lines. Well, sorry, it's not north-south, east-west, shall we say, lines, which is the traditional problem where a lot of these train lines have. Like I say, if you want to experience true pain in the UK, try traveling east to west by train. You'll find it very interesting indeed. Yeah, that's true. They need to keep in mind that a lot of people will suddenly have a bit more cash in their pockets, so possibly more customers. Again, yeah, very true. Very, very true. So the Chancellor's now also listened to our request to retain the first-year allowances for investments now in the North Sea to help provide a just transition to net zero. Okay, that'll be good. Much now rests on the government's next step. What will the future benefits be outlined by the Chancellor? Of course, by no means guaranteed. A lot will now be riding on the success of the industrial and trade strategies. That's something certainly to look forward to as well, because it has been a long time since we have actually had an industrial strategy, let alone a trade strategy as well. So those will be certainly interesting reads in the future as well. And of course, the effectiveness now of devolution and public investment in infrastructure to reinvigorate national supply chains. To build business confidence, it is crucial that we now see very decisive and inclusive action at pace from the government to unlock the investment of the economy that it sorely needs. Okay, yeah. Overall, it's not like they're turning around saying this is a terrible budget. This is like great short term. Some businesses might need to look at how they're going to invest things this year. Maybe look at what that means for national insurance means for hiring purposes. If they were thinking about hiring people, maybe they need to re-go and look at that. But that's only going to be a short term thing. You know, um, Craig, you brought it up earlier, and we said, you are right. They'll probably have more money in people's pockets. Most of the stuff you see here is actually, people are having more money in their pockets on this, which is good. But let's go through this. The business owner. So this successful entrepreneur obviously set up and runs his business valued at least £2 million and hope to keep it in the family. Under current rules, if they die, it would not be subject to inheritance tax. However, changes to business relief do mean that from the April of 2026, his children will have to pay inheritance tax on anything over £1 million at an effective rate of at least 20%, which is at least £200,000. If he opted to sell instead, the changes to capital gains announcement and the effective and would be effective immediately would mean that his business bill has increased by £40,000 to £340,000 a year. This now ratchets up again in April of 2025 to 2026, when the bill could hit over £380,000 and £420,000 respectively. He also holds a portfolio of shares listing that he's sitting on now to gain over £100,000. If he sold these pre-budget, he would have had to pay over £220,000 on capital gains tax. But as of today, this bill has increased by £4,000 to £24,000. So again, more tax on those people. Young family. Parents both employed, combined income £75,000. Until the end of this year, they were paid half. They were paid half, of course, their child benefit, with £25.60 a week for the eldest child, or the only child going up to £26 5 pence next April. Because of the higher earner, salaries paid £55. However, in April, the starting point for repaying it was up to £60,000. The couple will also get on the property ladder, but the government did not extend the stamp duty holiday for first-time buyers, which expires on 31st of March, which is now also increased from £30,000 to £42,000 and is due to revert back. This means they'll miss out of savings of over £6,000 if they buy in England or the Northern Ireland after this date. So house buying is something I'm quite surprised the stamp duty holiday wasn't kept, but it's not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. And if Labour do have more sort of house buying, house things as well, that could be interesting to see how the housing market reacts to this as well. So we'll see. Yeah. Good evening, Michael, as well. Never seen a new government face so much hype and opposition, not in my lifetime. And you're 70 now. I know it was. If you are joining us, you want my TDR of the budget. I've said it before: safe, competent, boring. And to be honest, it's not turned out that bad. If you are looking at who it is affecting, how much extra money and things that people have gotten, it's not turned out that necessarily bad for a lot of people. A lot more people, especially from lower earning income brackets, suddenly going to find more money in their pockets, not just for the national insurance increase, or no, national wage increase as well. Motorist. So in a budget very thin on rabbits, one surprise move was the Chancellor's announcement of the temporary 5p cut to fuel duty would remain in place. While the cost of living does remain high, and with a backdrop of global uncertainty, increasing the fuel duty next year would be the wrong choice for working people, Reeve said. The current fuel duty rate for petrol and diesel, which includes the 5p cut, 5p cut, is 52.59 pence per litre. This cut is now saving drivers about £130 a year, according to the price comparison site confused.com. So motorists are good. Unfortunately, if you take the train, congratulations, your rail tickets are going to be going up, which is hugely annoying. But there you go. Yeah. Yeah. Safe, competent, boring is exactly what I wanted. A relief, really. Yeah. Yeah. What more could you want, really? Safe, competent, and boring. You know? Makes a big difference, doesn't it? And I had this conversation with with Kevin Logan, if you remember that. I was like, well, look, one of the reasons to vote Labour and get them in is they're going to be safe, competent, and boring. Single parent. So this family receives universal credit, but can expect their payments to rise by 1.7% next year from April. Number of benefits, including universal credit, are now increasing each tax year in line with the cost of living from the previous September. However, there was some good news. The government has introduced a new fair repayment rate. That reduces the level of debt repayments that can be clawed back from a household's a universal credit payment each month from £25 to £15 of their standard allowance. Those who benefit will gain an average of over £420 a year. So again, not that bad, really. I mean, you look here and it is mostly, very good stuff. It's just mostly very good stuff from what we can see. But it was all very hyped up by most of the right-wing press, and now we've got it. That's it. That's it. Hang on. Of course, we've got to see. Of course, we've got to see what this is going on. Oh, here we are. Hold on. Over to Conservative Home. Let's see, because apparently, Robert Jerrick. So this has been what Kimmy Badenoch has said to the thing. So this is what she said: Labour's had 14 years in opposition to think about what they should do with the economy, and this is what we get: higher taxes, more borrowing, and lower growth. But again, what are they going to do with those higher taxes? Where is that borrowing going to be invested? What is it going to do? Lower growth. You can't just be the Chancellor and just go, I proclaim growth. Not how it works, but conservative mindset and all that. We Conservatives cannot afford to make the very same mistake. We need to return to the principles and spend our time out of government trying to build a plan that will rewire the state, bring down taxes, and reward the risk takers and the entrepreneurs who create jobs and fuel economic growth. Well, you had 14 years to do that. Why didn't you do it? Why didn't you do it? Yep. Why didn't you do it? But there you go. Oh, of course, Adam Smith Institute. Of course, they're going to be against that. Oh, Taxpayers Alliance, which taxpayers. Of course, what they're saying. Rachel Reeves just condemned the country to a record high tax burden. Well, so did you, but never mind. Oh, the IEA. What did the IEA have to say? The government came into office promising to prioritize growth, but the reality of their first budget is now heavier burdens on businesses and more borrowing for public sector capital spending. It does not inspire much confidence in their approach. Coming alongside an inflation-busting increase in the minimum wage and the heavy-handed changes to employment law. Again, they do not like those new employment law rights that they passed as well very recently. Higher employer national insurance contribution will now be a bitter pill for firms to swallow. Businesses will see their costs rise, and it will be workers who pay the price in the form of lower wages, reduced benefits, and fewer job opportunities. Wait, how are they going to be? What? But they've increased the minimum wage. And again, benefits. Well, they got a lot of those benefits from the employment law, stuff. But yeah, it is the IEA responding. Let's not give them too much credit. Let's not give them too much credit. The idea that this budget does not increase taxes on workers is an economic fantasy. Well, it doesn't seem to increase them too much, what we've been saying. While rejecting an extension to freeze on income tax and national insurance threshold is welcome, it does not undo the damage elsewhere. They will still remain frozen, meaning the effects of fiscal drag will continue to eat into our paychecks for the next 4 years without radical and a reformist agenda. You mean the radical reformist agenda that you told Truss to do that crashed the economy? A focus on our fundamental causes of our economic malaise, the government now faces the famed state as the immediate predecessors, getting stuck in managing Britain's relative decline with no clear path to break free from it. Well, what a surprise. I swear they must have gone and just gotten like every single possible bad reaction. Like who's going to say bad things about it? Yep. Considering there are these are all right-wing leadings opinions of the budget, it could have been a lot more critical. Someone else said, these are not right-wing opinions. That should be quite clear. Really? Which one isn't from a right-wing leaning think tank? That's very true. That is very typical conservative home. Just get any bad response you can have. And I think there was, let me just have a look, because I think there was another one. What's this one? Yes. Oh, Will's been at it already. Very interesting. So someone else said immediately to Will's article here. Waffling William seems very surprised that Labour make different choices in government to Conservatives. Depressing, even when Labour is now showing that they can do a far better job managing the economy than even us. Even riling Rishi a couple of days before he fires off to SoCal. Um, Yeah, to compare this budget with Kurzio Katang's very disastrous experiment displays a completely and utter lack of both perspective and economic and political. This budget is empathetically not led into a panic by the gilts market, which then threatened to destabilize the entire defined benefit pension schemes or even result in a major repricing of the mortgage market to the detriment of thousands of households. As for the headline, it hardly carries the same stamp of authority that the author had not yet reached puberty when the last Labour government delivered a budget speech. Um, Someone else says, yeah, in essence, a Conservative Party seems to keep things pretty much as they are. This, as Williams says, much preferable to making them worse. My hopes are at least one, that the Conservative Party now convalesces itself, and two, that the Labour Party goes the way of, quote, the labouring class that it used to represent to a place called oblivion. Number three, we have on our radical new party. Oh, is that just? Yes, it is. Oh dear. Mm. Someone else said, "Yeah, frying pan and the fire doesn't even spring to mind. So far, the last government shrunk my businesses and the wider economy much more than Labour have done. On the other hand, Labour have only been in power just a few months, so I strongly suspect by the end of their term, they will now have managed to hit the economy more than the Conservatives achieved. Um, I think they're probably going to hit the economy quite a good way. Seems to the budget they seem to have." On a personal level, I'm at least glad to only have at least 4 more months in the UK. Having my visa now sitting on the table made the budget at least more comfortable. So, yeah, someone running away there completely. Should we go over this? Should we go over this? God, it's Will Atkinson, so it's gonna be fun. Could be interesting. Maybe we'll save this. Um, Maybe we'll save this for another time. Maybe we'll save it for another time. But good evening to everyone joining us as well, by the way. We're just looking at budget stuff or at least responses to the budget. Of course, the Conservatives are absolutely in meltdown mode. I know how can Labour deliver a confident budget when we've been telling people for like 14 years that they're the party of like economic incompetence, and yet they've just delivered a very you know decent, boring, competent budget. Oh, oh, Coastal Sandwich. Oh, you switched summer child. You don't know who Will Atkinson's is? um, don't worry. Will Atkinson is a basically he was the intern at Conservative Home before he got hired now full time and writes basically waffle for Conservative Home. He's a young conservative. Never really lived, or was he old enough to remember what it was like living under the last Labour government? So he doesn't really have a point of reference when he's talking about what Labour were or what they actually did. But yeah, he writes a lot of nonsense, and when we ever tend to cover Conservative Home, he's who we tend to look at because he does write a lot of nonsense. Oh. Yeah. All these things Conservative Home are complaining about are things happening because of their precious Tories now screwed up. Can they please actually have a single section spec of self-reflection? Please, please. Thanks, dude. I remember now. The infamous T-Boy. Yep. That's the one. Not too surprising. Not too surprising on that. Power to the people. Good evening to you. So yeah, remembering all the crap the Tories have done and all gotten away with all the years, but the bus fare being £3 is now the worst thing that they can think of. They really do live in an ivory tower. Yeah, I mean, again, the bus cap going from £2 to £3, which is like what 50% increase. I mean, yeah, a lot of people are going to have to pay £1 more to use their buses. Is it going to stop people from traveling using public transport for buses? No, I don't think so. Um, but you are right. I think a lot of these people complaining about that, I think, really do live in ivory towers. And as someone who uses a lot of public transport, um, I certainly won't notice it. I'll probably notice the trains a lot more than the buses. Because sorry, no, train fares are expected to go up like 47% next year. So, going to be fun. Yeah, again, very true. They ignore that it was a complete attendance was temporary post COVID to get people back on buses. Yep, very true. Yeah. In my naivety, I wasn't even aware of any cap and thought it was just my local bus company was just being very generous. Yep. Yep. Costs are going up 47% next year for train tickets. I know. Fantastic, isn't it? They really need to do something about the busted ticketing system going on with trains and sort this out. They need to bring in, I think we did a video about it, the Netflix idea of a subscription for train services. I mean, I, if they suddenly turn around and say, right, it's 50 quid, you pay a month, and then you get unlimited use of the trains. Oh, hell yes. I know so many people that would jump on that immediately. I know even a lot more of the people that would get it, and I know they would probably not even use the train as much as me, but they would get it anyway because they know it would save them money potentially in the long run, just for a convenience point of view. Because guess what? If you make things convenient for people to use and to do, guess what? People will do it. People will buy it. I guarantee you, it would be incredibly successful. Yes, it would mean we might have to subsidize, rail companies. But if you went taking this subsidy off you, but we're going to do this instead, or change it around, meaning you get to keep that subsidy, maybe we might be able to do it. But again, not 100% on that. Power to the people. I use buses and I'm not bothered at all by the £3 thing. Yeah. Most people aren't. Yeah. Most people aren't. It going from £2 to £3, not the biggest shock in the world. I dared to look in on No Justice, and she was in full stream about this, that this is going to be disastrous for lower income working people. But as we've just seen there from a lot of that stuff in the budget, they're going to find themselves that they've actually probably got a bit more money in their pockets. So again, it's not going to be disastrous for working people at all, I think, on that front. Yeah, free public transport, that will be good to have, but we've got to get there. You've got to get stuff to there, but that would also mean definitely an increase in tax. Well, but then again, I don't think most of us would mind that. If we got free public transport, I don't think there'd be a lot of us would mind that. It works very well in other countries. Other countries do it. So maybe we could look at a very similar thing as well, possibly. Train price being broken is actually killing now the industrial tourist boom too. A pair of train tickets often cost as much as a Premier Inn now at the other end. Yeah, very true. Very, very true. They are absolutely destroying internal tourism. You're right on that. The train ticket prices are absolutely awful. Yeah. Did the Chancellor mention fixing the potholes? Oh yes. Rachel Reeves even made a thing about it, saying, that that's the one thing that local councillors talk about more is potholes in the roads. So hey, if councils are going to get even more money to fix potholes in the road, then hey, why not? The fact that train ticket prices are now completely unpredictable is a massive turnoff. Yep. Absolutely true. I mean, it's so strange that if I'm going to Sheffield and let's take the fast train from Leeds to Sheffield. If I'm going from like Leeds to Sheffield on a fast train to Sheffield, it's about 28 minutes. To Leeds, it's 35 minutes. So it's not really that too long a distance. But the Leeds ticket, bear in mind, the Sheffield one at peak is £8. If you're going to Leeds, you're talking at peak times, you're talking 13 for a couple of extra minutes of travel on a fast train. Yeah. Train ticket prices are absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I've talked for years that there needs to be something done. Like we need to get like an all-purpose rail card. Like where is my all-purpose rail card? I use the trains all the time. I would absolutely have an all-purpose rail card because I loved my student rail card. Trust me, if when I lost my student rail card, and you're not getting that 25% off, you really notice the difference you start paying in train tickets. Craig, the other thing on bus prices is the councils are now taking back control of them. Hope the network improves a lot. Yes, that's true as well. It's not local councils; it's the regional city regions that are going to be taking control of their bus networks back. There's a consultation just actually started for South Yorkshire, and there's one just started for the West Yorkshire mayoral regional constituencies as well. South Yorkshire is taking Supertram back under public ownership. That's going to be happening. Pretty. No, it's already happened. I think. Yeah, it's already happened. But it's now what they do with it. I hope would personally like to see a massive expanding of the network and sort of really refilling, sort of like fulfilling like the promise of Supertram to be like across all South Yorkshire. So I'd like to see like a proper, line from like Sheffield into Barnsley, and then one into sort of Rotherham and on into Doncaster then. And then once you have those lines, you can then expand on those again across the different boroughs as well. So that will be very, very good. Yep, there are now too many rail cards. It would just completely make sense to abolish all of them and make the ticket 25% cheaper. Well, it's not that there's too many of them. It's that it doesn't make sense for the vast majority of travelers to use. So you start off with the 18 to now 30 rail card, which is fantastic because they annoyingly raised it when, just as I turned 31, so I couldn't apply for it. Annoying from that. Oh, Colin, you're off. I'll see you soon. Have a good evening with the family. And then for solo travelers, the next time you would gain access to a rail card is when you are retired. Like that is the next time you actually gain access to a rail card. Everything else is dual traveler, meaning that two of you have got to be traveling at the same time, or there's the family rail card, or there's the group rail card, but that only covers you for like a month. And you've got to have more than 12 of you on that group rail card. Like, and they've recently introduced flexi rail cards, meaning that you pay so much a month, but you only get, depending on what route you're choosing, you only get a certain number of trips. So my flexi from Barnsley to Sheffield, I only get 8 trips a month. If I buy a flexi card, I pretty much get it for a month. I can make 8 trips before I have to pay again to have another flexi. Yeah, it's not just the trains; it's the ticketing as well that's a problem. Ticketing is a massive problem on trains, and yeah, if they solved so much of that, you'd get more people using the rails, which would mean you could make more rail investment. You know. Yeah. There is a rail card that you can pay for in the intermediary, I think. I looked up for my other half, and it's all incredibly vague and intentionally confusing, though. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Is the Southeast Network card still a thing? Don't think so, or at least it might be. Not 100% sure. Oh, there you go. Southeast Network is what I'm thinking of. Oh, yeah. How much will a Thompson season ticket to London be there? Oh my word, yeah. That is, like I say, season tickets to London. Jesus, I just don't want to even contemplate how much that is. Don't even want to contemplate how much that is. But if you live in London, you've got Oyster Card, and if you sign up to the Oyster Card stuff, guess what? Covers you for everything in sort of London: buses, tube, trains. It does it. Why can we not extend this across the UK? Frustrates me to no end, but there you go. So yeah, ultimately, that has been really the budget. Boring, safe, and competent. But then again, it didn't really need to be much, did it? It didn't really need to be much. Like I say, um, after all this, after the past couple of years, after all the Tories, well, seems a lot better. And oh yeah, uh, the other thing as well, because I think you've all seen my Bernie Sanders video, how the left is now turning on Bernie Sanders. It's kind of weird. A lot of people in the UK left now turning on Darren Smith. If you don't remember who Darren Smith was, he was the chairperson for. Oh, what was he the chairperson from now? Can't remember what committee he was in charge of. But he was the one who gave like the P&O boss like a really good grilling, and several of the bosses like gave them an absolute grilling. He is now junior Treasury Minister, and it is interesting to see the cries of betrayal that he has betrayed them all, that he's betrayed the left, that he's no longer a lefty. And you're like, a couple of years ago, you guys were singing this guy's praises for tearing chunks out of all these CEOs. But now he's in government. Ooh, can't have that. can't. That's it. Darren Jones. Yeah, that's it. I knew it was something. I was like, what was it? Darren Jones. That's it. Thank you very much. But yeah, they've absolutely turned on Darren Jones. Absolutely, 100%. It's hilarious to actually see that, because you can go back in a lot of people's videos and see them praising Darren Jones. Like, oh my god, look at him tearing into the CEO. Look at him saying this. Oh my god, look at him, how good he is. Yeah, a lot of them are singing from a different tune. I can tell you now, especially since he became junior treasury minister. Um, but I think there's a lot to expect from him if he ever does become treasurer. I would like to see Darren Jones as treasurer one day. Um, but for the moment, I think Rachel Reeves is doing a very good job. You know, competent, safe budget. Who thought we'd be saying that today? Who thought we'd be saying that today? Um, but to be honest, it's what we needed. Daily Blase, good evening to you, Darren. Good evening to you. Good evening to everyone else joining us as well. Nice, we've got our one Twitch viewer. Hello to you. Oh, I don't know why I stream on Twitch. I just do it just to multi-stream. But I hardly ever get anyone from Twitch. But it's like I say, it's most of you just guys on YouTube. Yvonne Okanar, good evening to you. I can say, nice, chilled, really stream. Really, I mean, what else can we expect now going forward? Well, the industrial strategy that we're expecting, I'd like to see that. I'd really like to see that, and what that actually is, because it has been years, generally years, since we have seen a proper industrial strategy put forward by a government. So we'll see what that comes. They've also apparently got a trade strategy as well. So that will make for interesting reading at some point in the future as well. So when those come out, we will be going over those. However, I'm not 100% sure when they're meant to be coming out, although it is meant to be apparently pretty soon. So we'll keep our eyes peeled for when those finally drop, because those are going to be very interesting. Yeah. Craig, compared to Boris managing to set himself, set his hair on fire and trust setting fire to everything, I'll take boring. Yeah. Yeah. Very true indeed. Darren, yep. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's feeling much better than the rather exercised Jeremy Hunt today. Yeah. Honestly, what a missed opportunity from the Tories, bear in mind. Like, what a missed opportunity from the Tories. Bear in mind, this is meant to be like a big opportunity to like respond to the government as like opposition. This is like one of your big moments to like really tear into the opposition. Having Rishi Sunak and Jeremy Hunt respond to the budget, wasted time. They're probably not going to be in post, either of them, after this weekend. The direction of the Tory party is going to change 100% completely. So why on earth did you even bother having them respond to the budget? But yeah, Rishi Sunak's going to be gone. That was his last, probably ever high-profile experience. Well, high-profile speech in Parliament as well. So, yeah, unless he does a goodbye speech, which I don't think he will do. That is it, from ladies and gentlemen. That is it from Rishi Sunak. No more. No more from Rishi Sunak ever again. Possibly from Jeremy Hunt as well. Because oh boy, Jeremy Hunt is going to be banished to the backbenches as well. Because I don't think he's going to want to participate in the direction that the Tory party is going to go in. Not at all. Not at all. He is going to be jumping ship as well, I think, with Rishi Sunak. Should we be taking bets though on like how long before Rishi Sunak leaves? I think give it 6 to 12 months. I think we'll be seeing a by-election in Richmond. Like, I really think will be seeing him gone. Not before too long. Yeah. It is with great sadness that I can go home to California. I mean, yeah. He's going to go to California 100% on that. Rishi will not be particularly missed. Oh, absolutely. He will not be missed at all. Yeah, if a Labour Chancellor had done what he'd done, he'd been completely ousted. Yeah, yep. The Kershaw, yeah, I'm really surprised that Sunak stayed. I am too. I am too. I am really surprised he stayed. I'm surprised he's staying. I am really surprised that he is staying, quite frankly. I mean, Rishi Sunak, when you look at history books, probably only going to go down in history for two things: being the UK's first Hindu prime minister, and probably the absolute catastrophic Conservative defeat. Other than that, that will probably it. He will be a very, very small footnote in British political history going on. Did you say bet I'm on if I can win a cup of tea? Well, that might be the extent of it. But yeah, I don't think he'll be long. I think he'll be going. Well, Rishi can be an absolute arsehole now on the back benches. He may be at least enjoy it for a while. I don't think he will. I don't think he will. Sunak historically has been a good boy. You know, he's been a very, very good boy on the backbenches. I mean, he's had his career started in like 2015. By 2018, he was a junior minister. 2020, he became chancellor, and by 2022, he became prime minister. So that was quite the meteoric rise, shall we say, for someone who is quite a very short tenured life as a you know as an MP. And what, he's 44, I think, Rishi Sunak, or 40 something. They're still very young in terms of like political age. So maybe so. Yeah, Rishi hasn't done anything useful. Rishi hasn't done anything at all. Rishi has not done anything at all. He'll basically just be a footnote to Tristan Johnson. I think he'll be even less than that. I think he'll be even less than that, to be honest. Sunak will be remembered as the most spineless PM in history. Oh, very, very true. Very, very true on that. Yeah. That's, well, yeah. Yeah, he was the only vaguely financial person who lacked the spine to tell Dominic Cummings to bugger off. Yeah, I mean that's why he was chosen. He was chosen by Boris because he didn't want someone who might be too upstanding to outshine him. To sort of get rid of him. But no, he's managed to survive. He managed to survive, and then of course COVID happened, and Boris didn't like the whole, eat out to help out, where do you remember the days? Do you remember those halcyon days for Rishi Sunak where he was referred to as Dishy Rishi? Do we remember those? Do we remember those halcyon days where Rishi Sunak's star was at its zenith? Yeah, it just goes to show you how very quickly things could turn around in politics. Very quickly indeed. Very quickly indeed. Yeah. Outshine Boris, that's not exactly hard. Oh well. Boris didn't want anyone to outshine him. Boris wanted to be surrounded by yes men or people at least competent enough that wouldn't challenge him on stuff. And that's not what happened on that one. Jeremy Hunt might quietly, frankly, belong in jail, or whether chancellors go will leave a giant fiscal black holes go. Yeah, I mean, that was all something else as well. If people haven't seen the OBR's sort of response to the budget, them coming out and saying, "Oh, actually, yeah, we actually really believe Reeves black hole budget because it turned out, guess what? The Conservatives weren't that honest with us about, economic information. We've actually been given more economic information by the current by the current Treasury than anyone before. So, yeah, we do believe that there's this massive financial black hole, and of course. You've had many people from Conservatives' corners now calling to abolish the OBR because it's awoke. It's the civil servants. It's the blob. Yeah, Hunt does seem unusually angry and desperate. It's curious. Yeah, it's because of if you have been the Tory party, the Tory party's strategy for the past 14 years has literally been we are the party of economic competence. Don't trust Labour. They are awful. They are terrible. And you've spent 14 years telling people that. And guess what? Labour's delivered a competent, boring, basic budget. But you've been telling people that they're awful and that they are terrible when it comes to managing the finances and the economy of the UK. Especially when you've got Liz Truss, still there, you know, still there somewhere. It, yeah, it makes them look very bad. It makes them look very, very bad on that one. Oh, Craig, 10 years now of Labour being a sane, sensible economic manager showing good results might actually finally kill the Tory party, given the mess that they're getting themselves into. Oh, absolutely. Um, absolutely. In 10 years' time, they may not even be the main party of opposition. Oh, so yeah. I, I I keep on saying it, but I think that's the best way to sum up the budget: boring, competent, and safe, or safe, boring, and competent, or boring, competent, and safe, depending how you want to change. Look at the acronym. Uh, but yeah, that's it, really. I mean, the Conservatives are going to throw a hissy fit. We might go over maybe the what the Conservatives have been doing about, like, say, that will one might be a good read maybe tomorrow. Um, but yeah, it is going to be, I think, interesting. Conservative sectors are going to absolutely lose their mind. Of course, they are. Um, I think there's a lot of people on the left losing their mind at the moment, just because, well, they are opposition brained. Um, but we'll see now what happens. We'll see now what happens. You know, The Labour government is still a very, very new one in terms of what it is. We'll see what things are like, this time next year. Will things be different? Will things have gotten better? Will things have gotten worse? Will we've seen economic policy change? What other things are still to come down in the pipeline? New day, new government. And guess what? They're doing things completely different. Completely different to how, the last administration are doing it. And, being boring and competent, well, if it works, it works. Yeah. 1922 will change the rules again. Just give it 6 months. Yeah, possibly. Opposition brain. LOL. I've always called them protest addicts. Oh, like I say, I'm glad to expand your lexicon of words. If the OBR should be abolished now for being too woke, our calculator's woke now. Yeah, exactly. It's insane. It completely collapses their entire argument they've been saying for years that we are the party of economic competence. Labour isn't. Ignore them. Guess what? They're in power. They've delivered one budget. Chances are next April they'll probably deliver another, and they will keep on delivering on those budgets. If this is the first one where it's safe, boring, and competent, imagine what Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves might consider an exciting budget. That's when things might get a bit saucy. But even then, it will probably be seen by a lot of people as being, oh, that's a bit vanilla. You said you were going to get exciting, but all you've done is, you've kept on buying vanilla ice cream all these times we've kept on going out, and you've wowed it up, and yeah, it's great. Vanilla ice cream, okay, it's okay, but it's pretty basic. But this time, oh, you've put sprinkles on it. Oh, wow, way to spice things up. I honestly think that's how it might go. Quite frankly, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and then the sudden worry that they might be doing some tricky stuff now to build up for a glitzer budget like in 2028/2029. Maybe. Yeah. Starmer excited. Yeah. Yep. They love the purity of opposition without the responsibility. Having to make actual decisions is complete anathema to these people. Very true. It's the same for the Greens. If you notice, the Greens down actually took control of Bristol City Council, and prior to them taking over, they had been opposing this brand new housing development. Like prior to this, they'd been opposing it, but the second they got in, the second they were in charge, actually, we've changed our mind on this development. Can we forget that we were against it? But no, that's what tends to happen. I think the Green Party in Bristol is going to end up fracturing just as the Sheffield one did. It's going to be interesting. Oh yeah, wait until we get a Neapolitan. Yeah, exactly. Ooh, vanilla, strawberry, and chocolate. Oh my, Mr. Starmer, how exciting! But yeah, and this is, I think we are seeing what Starmerism is going to be looking like for the next couple of years. And you know what? If it's competent, boring, but sensible stuff, why not? Hell, why not? They will probably do quite well. However, of course, that will be, next general election. But as I said before, the next general election is a long way off. It's gonna take a long, long time to really think about what it's gonna be for the next general election. Bear in mind, they've only been in power literally, a couple of months. I think we can still give them time on some stuff. Um, yeah. Coastal Sandwich, we have a green council here in Brighton who's great for laughs. He routinely pens articles in the local rag designed to now infuriate the local frothers and loons. Yeah. Doesn't surprise me. Um, I'm gonna have to see if at some point I can try and get like my inside contact on the Sheffield Greens, but I don't know if they'll do it or not. Don't know if they'll do it. That might burn too many bridges for them. I don't think they would do it. Because I would love for them to come on talk on about what happened with the Sheffield Greens. Because it's just like a piece of like recent political history that most people just don't know happened. But yeah, it's insane. If the Tories are, of course, the party of economic competence, NASA scientists are now saying that the Earth is flat. Yeah, exactly. But if it doesn't instantly fix everything, then it's obviously not true Labour budget like Corbyn would have done. Yeah, exactly. Nothing will ever be as good as Corbyn, and that's another part of these people's brains. They just are obsessed and still think that Corbyn is like the bee's knees. When if Corbyn was that good, why did he lose? you know, and a lot of these people still can't get over the fact that Jeremy Corbyn lost to Boris Johnson in 2019. That is still a very, very sore point, and they cannot fathom why he lost. Which is why they will continue to lose. They are making the exact same mistakes that the Tories are making now for a lot of reasons. Yep, the Tories need Labour to fix stuff because they need actual functioning economy to run down while promising tax cuts and making everything cheaper. Yeah, true Tory economic values there. That's very true indeed. Yeah, because Corbyn just could hack it as to be a leader. Yeah, Corbyn. I remember one of the first big drops I had on this channel, where I had a lot of like regulars who I would recognize. The first time I dared even say that Corbyn was a bad leader. Um, yeah, I had a very big exodus, although it rebounded very quickly. It rebounded very, very quickly. I'll say that now, but maybe getting rid of those people would have been earlier on was a lot better decision for later stuff than stuff that I want to say as well. So yeah. Corbyn was a completely useless campaigner like Kermit the Frog, and Hello Kitty is a cat. Yeah. Yeah, that was always the thing. Corbyn was a useless campaigner. Sometimes he could do a really good speech, and other times he'd be meant to have to perform and do these speeches, and he just wouldn't do it. He'd just be like, "Oh, that's it." And then, of course, we've got how he acted in the referendum campaign as well in 2016. You could definitely tell he was not interested in being there, and just very, very uncomfortable with sharing the same opinion as David Cameron and campaigning on it. He definitely was uncomfortable. Did not want to be there Goes the sandwich. Cheers for the fun conversation. Have to nip out to get food for the family. Have a good night, all. Well, good night to you. Have a good meal. But yes, we've been going now for over an hour and a half. So, yeah. Corbyn was a great get out the base campaign in the electoral system, but that's not what's going to do more than run up your majority now in your core seats. Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. You know, Corbyn ran up the majority in core seats and then didn't win anywhere else. Mr. L, we wish had this budget before the council by-election in my area. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I am not surprised. I will wonder. I have to wonder if this will turn around some of the by-election results coming up. You are right about that. Labour, out of what? How many council by-elections? I think we've had about 8, if I remember, and the Tories have won. I think the Tories have won 4. Labour have held 3, but the Lib Dems have taken some as well. I can't remember exactly now. I can't remember off the top of my head what those are without them looking up now. But yeah, it's yeah. It'd be interesting to see if that will have an effect on by-elections results. That's very true. That could have an impact. That could have a very good impact, and especially if Labour really need to get their comms out on this. Like, you've got to remember, between what now over the weekend and then after Monday, people are not going to care because obviously it's American election and people are just going to be obsessed in that. So they've really, really got to hammer home the comms over the next couple of days, how good this budget is. You know, and what it actually means for a lot of people. Yeah, people say that Johnson was unstoppable in 2019. He was the man hiding in the fridge from Piers Morgan. Yeah, exactly. And Corbyn lost to that. Yeah, he lost to a man who hid in a fridge. Craig, if he could have actually worked with others, Corbyn might have actually achieved something, but that would have actually needed him to compromise his precious ideals and actually get a consensus with others. Yep. Corbyn did not play well with others. He was always, even throughout all his history in the Labour Party, he was like the opposition. If the party went left, he went right. If the party went right, he went left. If the party went centre, he just stood where he was and refused to move. Corbyn lost places like Cannock, which had never gone Tory before in its entire time being a constituency, and Corbyn lost it. Yep. One Angry Pagan, good evening to you. Thank you very much, Angry Pagan. Yep. Nothing about sea level rises, preps in the budget. Yeah, there was nothing about that. That's true, but maybe we might see some other things further down the line on some of those things. I'd probably maybe looking what DEFRA is going to say, and what they're going to say about that. I think they're in charge of a lot of that stuff, I believe. But I'm not too sure if they got a budget increase or they've just remained the same. I haven't seen a sort of a full breakdown of some of the stuff for have departments had budget cuts, have they been increased, or have they remained the same on that one? Yeah, just heard about Nikki Haley now pseudo endorsing Harris at the last minute. Yeah, Nikki Haley, you cannot be the person who stood against Donald Trump very defiantly, even though she had lost, and remained in the race defiantly, even though she knew she could not win, saying people need a choice other than Donald Trump. Then after that race, turn around, kiss the ring, and then turn around again and sort of, as you say here, soft endorse Harris. Yeah. Really weird. Yeah. That doesn't surprise me. Schwarzenegger's also endorsed Harris. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. He hates Donald Trump. Arnold hates Trump, hates him with a passion. It's insane to see how he hates him so much. In fact, I think he was like one of the original, um, never Trumpers. Like I really think he was one of the original Trumpers right from the very start, almost. Yeah, I think she was waiting to see where the wind was blowing. Yeah, oh, yeah, very true. Very, very true. Very true indeed. Uh, our one Twitch viewer. How much did Starmer allocate to Israel? Well, he's actually, I don't know if you know this, he's actually sanctioning settlers in Israel. Did you know that? Is it the first time you've heard about that? Because that's happened. That's been in place for the last 2 weeks, but none of the people like to talk about it. Which, bear in mind, people keep on saying, "Oh, Starmer needs to do more against Israel. Starmer needs to do more Israel." Well, yeah, that puts pressure on Netanyahu, which thank you for reinstating my point. Who cares about settlers? You should apparently, if you care about that. Oh, so yeah, interesting. Interesting to see what will happen, of course, in the future. I think there's still a lot of potential, I think, with this Labour government. Um, but I think we have pretty much seen what Starmerism is going to be. I think it has been what we have seen for a while, what it is going to be. Um, Starmer's government, I think I can predict over the next 4 years is going to be safe, boring, but competent. It is going to be someone who orders Neapolitan ice cream to use the phrase we've already seen before, um, and thinks that Neapolitan ice cream is like the most exciting thing in the world. You're like, oh, okay, calm down, calm down there. Uh, I think that's what we're going to see. Um, I do think that's what we're probably going to see. A very safe, competent, yet boring government. And to be honest, that's not bad. That is not the worst thing in the world. The budget that we saw today, hey, it's good. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's pretty good. Um, Obviously, I think once we dig more and more into it, I think there'll be other stuff that will come up. But overall, not a bad budget. Not a bad budget at all, especially when you've got all the Tories freaking out about it, which is never a bad thing, Um, there used to be a time where the left loved that freaking out Tories, but apparently not anymore. Um, it is a great start if we consider that this is going to be the tightest budget that they'll likely have. That is very true. That is very true. Um, Future budgets may be different. Future budgets may be very different as well. We might see a lot more stuff. Like I say, this government has set a very clear stance that it is for investing on that. It is very, very clear that they are going for that. Um, yeah, imagine what fortunes of budgets were like that would have achieved. Yeah, very true. Starmer's campaign slogan should have been "Make politics boring again." Yeah, make true again. Yeah. Did they raise any taxes? Technically, there are people who have to pay more in tax now because of things like national insurance rise, um, whole other things. But overall, they didn't exactly raise any taxes specifically. But who cares? I I thought we on the left were for raising taxes on the rich, which is what they have done. Which is what they have done. And yet, how how dare he raised taxes? Grandad Corbyn would have raised taxes far more better. Oh, so yeah. overall, nice budget. Good to see. And for a first budget, that we saw with things like that, I think we've probably got good things to come. I really do think we've got good things to come later. Um, yeah, Corbyn would have taxed billionaires 100%. We need Tony back. No, we don't. Yeah, the Labour has very clearly moved on from Tony Blair, unfortunately, which is what, again, a lot of these Corbyn people can't get over. But yeah, overall, good budget, good potential for future budgets as well. We'll see what happens further down the line. We've got more Labour policy certainly going to go in. The trade policy will be very interesting to look at. The industrial strategy will also be very interesting to see as well. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in the future with it. But it is one of those things where we've got to look, wait, and see. But like I say, a lot of bandwidth over the next couple of days is very, very, very quickly going to be taken over by the American election. So Labour really have like what 4-5 days really to start selling this budget. And this is one thing where they've really got to start selling it and make sure that they are selling this. Making really sure this is what they are doing. This budget is actually good. This is what it means for people. We went over that part earlier. Things like that, saying, well, actually, this is how much more money you've got now. So you could very clearly see in that budget breakdown, although you might have missed it earlier on, you do have a lot more people now with more money in their pockets, which is going to lead to more spending power, which is going to lead them to start spending that money more, which is going to be very good for small businesses. Economics. So yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens over the future. But I am once again very, very optimistic. Very, very optimistic. I don't think I could have been happier with a budget, especially when it was this hyped up. But hey, if this is Starmerism, boring, competent, and sensible, well, hey, could we have asked for anything better compared to what we've got for the past some of this? But yeah. Breaking news: Keir Starmer put milk in a cup before tea. What an evil person this man is. So yeah, we now, of course, await what Labour are going to do. They really need to sort of get out front of this, start selling this as an idea, as a concept, and really push it forward. So I'm quite happy. I think Ed Miliband will be interesting to see. I think Ed Miliband's got something on Friday. I think he's announcing something on Friday. Is it? I'm not sure. Or maybe he's doing a rounds on something on Friday. I think there's something. Ed Miliband is doing something on Friday. I don't know what though. Because I'm sure I saw that somewhere, and I can't remember what he was going to do. Oh yes, and yeah, Mpox. Please don't be another COVID. Please don't be another COVID. Oh. John Crace has weighed in on the budget as well. Reeves offers few laughs. No great surprises in a budget speech, but austerity this isn't. Yep. So, yeah, we'll probably be seeing, yeah, exactly, yeah, a lot of right-wing media losing their minds tomorrow. They're going to be losing their minds tomorrow in the front pages, which will be fun. That'll be very fun indeed. But as always, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us this evening. It's been a very, very fun evening. Like I say, I do have to start doing Wednesday live streams again more often. So hopefully we'll get back into the swing of it, because I fell out of it, and then you know how these things happen. You just get out of the swing of things. But I have to start doing this again. Obviously, the next time live stream we're doing is the Saturday morning walk, of course, weather permitting. I've got a few friends out in Taiwan at the moment, caught up in is it the hurricane apparently. So yeah, hopefully they're all right. They're out for the JCI World Conference over there. So getting a lot of FOMO at the moment, not going to that. A lot of FOMO, not going to that. Although, again, maybe I miss out on a hurricane. So, you know. So, as always, have an absolutely fantastic evening, folks. As always, say, click the like, click the share, links down below, etc. You guys know all the drill by now. So, as always, we'll see you all next time.